An error occurred. Wait again. Wait a moment, then try again. I don't know if it says we're live, but I'm getting an error message. Okay, now we're live. Okay, awesome. I just love this music, Barbara. I was just telling you the name of this background music is called Feeding the Ducks.
I love it.
I just love it. It gets us really in the groove for our pep talk. So welcome everyone to PEPTalk, Productive Environment Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about Brunch with Barbara. What's your legacy? So I'm Andrea Anderson. I am the CEO of Productive Environment Institute here in Carolina Beach, North Carolina, and joined by...
And I'm Barbara Hemphill. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina, founder of Productive Environment Institute, and we're so glad you're here.
Yes, we are. And you may be wondering, what the heck, Brunch with Barbara? How do I do that? So this is actually, I wanted to just have this conversation with Barbara because I have questions for her. And I thought, let's just talk about it on Pep Talk because other people might have questions. So first of all, Barbara, what is Brunch with Barbara? And what is your legacy? How does that fit into what this is, why this is? And then I'll just ask you more specific questions if you want to do the big picture first.
Okay. No, let's talk about what made it happen. Okay. So one of my business and spiritual coaches, Melvin Pillay, told me last year that I should do something called Breakfast with Barbara. And so I set that up. This is an example of how entrepreneurs do things and they don't always work. So I did Breakfast with Barbara. It was actually supposed to be a series of 5 breakfasts. And it got complicated because, I can come the first one, but not the 5th one, and all that kind of stuff. And my personality is I love to start things, but I don't follow through very well. So that was a bad idea for me. And the other thing is breakfast in my life is a kind of special time. My husband's 82 years old, and I know that we're not going to be forever. And having breakfast together for us is a real special time. So I try not to do many morning things. So that didn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, wait a minute, I could do, and then it was all followed by a colleague of mine who loves to plan events, which I don't like to do at all. And she said, I'll plan the event. I thought, okay, she lives 20 minutes from my house. So it's like, fine. You come in, you set it up. We'll do brunch because we don't start till 10:30, which means my husband can sleep late like he likes to. I won't bother him. Selena will come in and do all of the setup. And then I can just invite friends to have a brunch. So that's kind of what prompted it. And also I'm working on a new book. The working title of the book is Unclutter, Filling the Emptiness Only God Can Fill. So one of the ways that I get things done is by building in things that make me do it. So I thought, I'll talk about this book as I'm writing it. I have lots of ideas. I'm working on it very excitedly. I really am excited about it. But I thought this would be a good opportunity to share it with people, like get some feedback. What do you think about this book? And what questions would you like me to address? And basically the premise of the book is that when people struggle with clutter, it's a lot because the culture is cluttered and we live. So like we've talked about, even people who haven't been diagnosed with ADHD, like I have, live in an ADHD world. Well, it occurred to me, it's the same with clutter. Even people who are not naturally cluttered or pretty much have their life under control, they've been organized at one point in their life, and then suddenly it just feels like it's just gotten to be too much. Well, it's because we live in a cluttered culture. And that's what this book is all about. It's about figuring out, helping people get rid of some of the shame. There's an enormous amount of shame involved in it. And then it's also, and I'm not going to share it on the podcast, but I've really come full circle in one idea I have about sharing my faith. And that's part of what has prompted this. So that's how it came about. Let's see. So to ask me some other questions.
Yeah, that's great. So that's how it came about. And so you had the idea, you're like, okay, breakfast is too early, not doing breakfast, going to do a brunch. And then you chose a date, and you have a friend you mentioned that is an event planner. And she was like, I'll help you. And so talk about the actual event you have coming up now. And I'll say this before she says that. If you happen to be watching this video after this date, check in with us still, because there will be more than one of these. I'm going to go ahead and speak that into existence. It will be more than one brunch with
Well,
Barbara.
my plan is once a quarter. Yeah. I'm thinking that
okay.
my goal is that this would be something that would be done once a quarter, and that always on my calendar, on my website, you could go for Brunch with Barbara and sign up once a quarter.
That's amazing. So I want to, and before I ask you this, I just want to say, through the years, I've worked with you like 18 years now, 19 years. And through the years, we've had people say, I wish I could just spend a day with Barbara Hemphill. I wish I could just come in her office and see her office and see her files and see her home. I wish I could just spend a day with Barbara. So I'm excited about this, because this is an opportunity for people to do just that at a fraction. There is a fee for it, of course, but it's a fraction of what it would cost for you as a VIP day with you.
Yes, I've done VIP days.
Yeah.
And actually, we used to do 2 of them. So somebody would come for 2 days and spend overnight here. And so we may resurrect that again. But right now, this is what this is. And
this is an incredible opportunity. So tell us about the date and what's happening on that day. And I'll ask more questions as you go, because I'm really learning this at the same time. So go ahead.
It's Thursday, October 10th. That's a special day because it's my brother's birthday. And he just passed away back in November, and I just love him dearly and miss him dearly, but that's a special day. So it's like, wow, I think on that day to be surrounded with people that I care about and that care about me would be fun. So that's the nemesis of that date. It's 10:30 in the morning to 3:30 in the afternoon. So there's no rush hour traffic anyway, and you're going against the normal traffic. And we're 45 minutes from the airport, so it's even possible for people to fly in for the event. So that's how it came about. We're going to start with a brunch. One of the members of the group I facilitate, called Faith Driven Entrepreneurs, is a caterer. And so she's going to cater it. And then another friend, Selena, is going to be the event planner. So I don't have to worry about anything except connecting with the people that are there. I don't have to worry about the logistics, and that makes me very happy. So we'll have brunch first. If the weather's nice, we will sit out on the deck, which overlooks the 70 acres of woods and 35-acre lake. It's a beautiful, and there's a koi fish pond with a waterfall.
I was going to say, with a waterfall. Let me just pipe in here. If you guys have watched any of Barbara's videos, Walking with Barbara, and she's outside, you see that beautiful lake and the waterfall and the woods around there. It's an absolutely beautiful, perfect setting for this.
So hopefully the weather will be good. If it's not, we can eat inside. We have lovely places to eat inside as well. And then we're going to do a tour of Barbara Hemphill's productive home office environment, and I've called it the good, the bad, and the ugly. We will go from garage to attic. And because everybody thinks that, organizers are perfect and that we have it all together, and I thought it would be really helpful to just do a walkthrough, and I would just talk about my environment, what I like about it, what I don't like about it, what I've done to improve it, what I'd like to do to improve it, just real, and I use the word real because that's part of also what has triggered this, is that in this AI world, it is so hard to know what is real. And my love language, my top love language, is quality time. It's part of the reason I love doing these pep talks, because for me, Andrea, and you too, I think this is our quality time, and we don't spend a whole lot of time together.
Right.
But it's like once a week for 30 minutes, we get to have some quality time. And I know it's you and you know it's me, and we talk about whatever we care about. It's like, wow, great. So that's part of why I wanted to do this. I want to have 10 other women with me where we have some similar things that we want to explore. We just want to be together, hang out, take a pause in the world. I mean, it's just, yesterday, my day was like this, and this, and this, and this happened. It was like, oh my gosh. And so to just come in this environment, take a deep breath, look at all the creation that God's created, enjoy healthy food, spend time together. So that, and we'll do the tour of the house. And then I'm going to present some of the content from the upcoming book, just some ideas I'm exploring. What are the things that'll be in it? And it'll be an opportunity for people to ask questions and explore that. And the subtitle of the book is Fill the Emptiness Only God Can Fill. And that leads into the word legacy. So a lot of people my age spent our lives collecting china and crystal and furniture and silver and artwork. And even one of my clients said, property. And my children and my grandchildren don't want it. And that brings up, wow, what does that mean? I thought that was going to be my legacy. And I've sat with clients sobbing because it's like, what do I do with all this stuff that I love and care about so much? And so then it's like, okay, what is my legacy? And so then it's exploring. First of all, it's talking about, okay, the clutter. We have to get rid of it, and we need to go through the emotion of that. And you can't do that alone. I mean, if you could, you would have done it already. And so this is to provide some support for discussions about that, ideas about how to get support and what kinds of things you can do with it that I've learned. I mean, part of the reason I stay in this business is because I learn from my clients all the time. Absolutely. I'm continually getting help from them. So we're there to help each other. And then to explore, what is your legacy? What do you want to be remembered for? And I've heard it asked as, what 3 words would you like to be remembered for? And if you live those words, so let's say you want to be remembered for being hospitable or for being kind or for being adventuresome or whatever, maybe that's it. And then how do you execute that? How do you do that? And so the end of it, the last 30 minutes is going to be, so we officially end at 3:30. At 3 o'clock, the formal part will finish. And then we can, if somebody wants to leave, if they need to catch a flight or go get home to take kids to soccer or whatever, they can leave at 3. But from 3 to 3:30, then that'll be some time for people to just sit and then go out and sit on the lake view for a little bit, or have another conversation, or sit down and write some notes about what they want to do. My husband used to use the phrase from the military of an after action report, which is like, okay, what do I want it? What happened? What went well and what didn't, and what do I do differently? So it might be a time for somebody to just sit down and quietly say, hey, what do I want to do differently? I always tell people when they go to any event that where I'm leading, it's like, at the end of this event, be clear about what you're going to do as a result of being here. I mean, if you don't change anything, if it's just a great experience, oh, that was fun. I mean, unless you're just going for fun. I mean, sometimes we just go for fun and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're actually paying money to go and hear an expert and you're trying to solve a problem or whatever, then, well, what is going to be the action? So in PEI, we're always asking the question, what is the next action? So that's what the time was. So that's kind of an overview. At least that's the way it's planned. Sometimes spirit changes things, but
yeah, exactly. And depending on who's coming and all of that. So I will put up the link. We'll post this in the various spaces you guys are watching this from, but certainly on our YouTube channel, it'll be in the description box. You can go check that out and you can register. If you are, I think if people are watching this after this upcoming one on the 10th, this page will be able to add you to the waiting list or information about the next one. So we'll be sure to let you know about it. But this one coming up in October, I love how you're intentional about everything that you do, Barbara. That is one of the things that you said. You're as a role model for being intentional. So you're intentional about the time because you're thinking of traffic and flights, and so that is like from 10:30 to 3:30 is perfect. I think the number of people, it'll be, more or less, 10 or under is a perfect number. And I think at the beginning, I think this is such a special opportunity because so many people think that they're alone in in anything in life. They're alone in their clutter. They're alone in not knowing what their legacy is, or not knowing what their next step is, what their next vision for their life is. And to come in, I would guess in the first hour or so, everybody's going to be kind of like, oh, hi, how are you? You know, that kind of thing. And then you just make people feel so comfortable that everybody will kind of settle in, and then it'll be a safe place. It'll be a safe place to share, you know, I have these dreams, I have this vision, and that's one thing I was talking with a couple of people this past week, and heard the same message was because I was talking about our tagline, accomplish your work and enjoy your life. And several people in different ways said, how can I enjoy my life when I have so much stuff I should be doing? Meaning the paper, the email, the systems, all of that.
Oh, that is just so true. And so many people are caring for aging parents now. I mean, that's right. I mean, how many that I would guess more than 50% of the people we talk to are dealing with aging parents.
Yeah, a good number, certainly a high number. And all of a sudden, even our own colleagues, I mean, even our own certified productive environment specialists are dealing with it. And so when it's so interesting when we talk about what we do from a marketing standpoint, like who's your target market? And, you know, people are attracted to what we do because they deal with paper and they deal with email, which typically is a business owner, a professional, a retiree. But we are also getting people, including in our own community, that are in that position now. They're in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and they're caring now for their parents, or they're in charge. In fact, as Karen Lynch, one of our specialists, put it, she said, you know, I'm the CEO of my father's life. And now he has recently passed, but she had been putting all of these systems in place and putting things in order and spending time with him to, you know, doing it in the process these last couple of years. And so we have people coming to us that are doing that, whether they have a business or not, whether they were a professional or not, whether they were a retired or not. They now have paper and email communications that they have to keep up with.
That's right.
And so this is that's what we cover in our office transformation boot camp and our digital transformation boot camp. Those are the things that we talk about. But the big picture is why. You always say, Barbara, when people say, well, they find out what you do or what we do. I need to get organized. Why? For what? What is it and so you take it really big picture with what's your legacy. And I think you did a podcast, I don't know if it was on here or one of your Walking with Barbara's, where we talked about, it just jumped out of my head what I was getting ready to say, but it was about, not leaving a legacy of clutter. You may not even know what your legacy that you want to leave is, but currently it could be potentially leaving a legacy of clutter, and we don't want you to do that.
Well, and how many clients I have sat with for hours sobbing, literally, because they were grieving the loss of someone they loved and cared about, but at the same time mad that they'd been left such a mess. And that's something that doesn't have to be the case, because there are ways to stop that. And in the brunch, we're not going to get into the logistics of email. And that's why we do our boot camp. So we've got a boot camp coming up for digital, and we always rotate them for office as well. But so in the brunch, we're going to be talking about the why. Why do we need to get those under control? And then really, what do we want to leave? And, you know, one of the legacies that I think is incredibly powerful and within reach of many people that think it's not, and that's writing a book. Research shows that 80% of the population believes they have a book in them. You know, and you'll talk to, oh, I have this children's book, or, oh, my father, you know, was in the war and he told me these stories, or, you know, just all these kinds of things. I talked to a woman yesterday. She said, I have 2 books basically that I've written, but she hasn't. And that brings me to only 3% have actually written it. and only 2% have published it.
Wow.
And when you think about it, leaving a book is the most amazing legacy you can leave, because you never know who it's going to impact. You just don't. I mean, I think about my daughter, Julia, wrote her PhD thesis on the subject of hope. Well, that was decades before I really got into the fact that what I was doing was help others pursue entrepreneurship, and now help others pursue eternity. But isn't it ironic? So that book that she wrote that had her PhD thesis in it, when she published it, I don't know, 30 years ago, it really didn't have a whole lot of meaning to me. But now it does. And it's on my shelf. And I look at it and think, wow, that's really amazing. I mean, I think that's the way that God works. I always think of our lives is like a puzzle. It's like this enormous puzzle. And I always think of it as a circle, not one with corners, because a corner puzzle, you put the corner pieces in first. Mm-hmm. But in God's puzzle, there are no corners. And it's like, you've got all the pieces and they do all fit together. I mean, his word says that our lives were created before we entered our mother's womb. And when I first read that, I always thought about in my mother's womb. That is what it says. It says before, which means that I'm alive at this moment in history, which seems to be incredibly messed up. I mean, difficult, war and just terrible. But it's like, wow, that means I really do have a purpose, because it's intentional that God intentionally put me here for this moment. Yeah. And so all those little pieces in the puzzle, they all fit together. And the older I get, I'm 77 now. So there's a lot of pieces that make sense now that when they happened decades ago made no sense. But there's a whole lot of pieces that I don't even know what they are yet. I have no idea. I certainly don't have a clear picture of what. Well, I know what the ultimate is. I mean, Melvin Pillay often says the ultimate goal is to be a friend of God. I love that. Like, okay, so what does it mean to be a friend of God? I mean, that's one of the things we can talk about at the brunch. What does it mean to be a friend of God? And what can you do? What can you do for God? Because we're created to do that. But what will God do for you? The Bible says you do not have because you do not ask. So lots of times we don't have what we want because, I don't deserve that, or that would never work, or that's not possible. And I'm a dreamer. I believe there's no question in my life that in my mind that the last half of our life should be the best part of our lives, because things that seemed terrible, as you get older, you realize, that was terrible. But if that hadn't happened, then this wouldn't have happened now. And so it makes every day get better. And for years, I had a goal. George Burns had always said that he couldn't die until he was 100 because he booked an engagement at the Palladium for his 100th birthday. And he didn't make it to 100. I think he made it to 98 or something like that. But when I heard that, I thought, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to give a speech when I'm 100. I don't know what the topic is. I said that for years. And then during COVID, I said, I'm changing this. I want this to be, instead of, I don't care how many years I live. The word says that's been determined and I don't have to worry about it. But I want to make sure that every day is the very best that I can make it. Some days go to hell in a handbasket. I mean, that's just the way life is. But the word says his joys are new every morning. So it's like, okay, I can rest in him. And now I've learned that I need 7 hours of sleep every night. Staying up, getting 3 or 4 hours of sleep in order to get work done is not helping anybody. It's not helping me. I don't help others. So I can rest in him that night, and then I can get up in the morning and say, okay, I got a clean slate. I can start over today.
I love it.
That's the kind of things that we're going to explore. I have no idea how it'll turn out, but I am so excited about it. I can't wait to see who's going to do it.
Yeah, and I just want to go back to two things that are the highlight. I remember coming to your house for the very first time, and you know, you guys, I grew up and wanted to be a teacher my entire life. So I went to I played school with my dogs. I taught them, and my favorite Christmas and birthday presents were like a grade book, the ledger, and a red pen, and the, paper clips, all that kind of stuff. So office organizing, office tools have always been a dream of mine. It's so weird. I'd never put that together with wanting to be a teacher, but those were important things. So anyway, when I first came to your house, I couldn't wait to see your filing cabinet. Like I had learned your finding system that we still teach. That's what we teach at our boot camp. Is the productive environment finding system. I wanted to see your files. Like I had my own, but I wanted to see yours, and that was so exciting to see. You had this, and I know you had you're working in a different office in your home than you were at the time, but you still have the other office with your files, right? That was like a playground for me, like walking in and seeing how you had everything set up and the filing system and how everything worked. You guys, that alone is a highlight of this day, of being able to go through and, like you said, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Being able to see how Barbara stores things, and how, more importantly, how she finds things, and seeing that office.
And how I live with someone
who
has very different ideals about this than I do, and which is probably most people who live with someone else. I mean, God has a sense of humor. He usually puts us with other people and that are different than we are. And I've said the blessing that Alfred is to me is, if it were not for him, I would be a workaholic. In fact, I told somebody yesterday that if I'm a widow, which statistically I probably will be, I suspect that one of the first things I will do is buy a dog.
Yay! Yay!
And the reason is, I've told Alfred many times, if it weren't for you, I'd be a workaholic. And so if he weren't here to say, yoo-hoo, I would be sitting in the office. So I thought, well, if I had a dog, I would have to walk the dog, and it would keep me from being a workaholic.
So you have to walk the dog. Get two like I did. They make you, and that's true, Barbara. That is true. There are days that I wish I could just stay in my pajamas all day, whether it's a good day or bad day. It could be cozy, and I just want to stay in my pajamas and not go out. But I got Buddy and Charlie, and it's like, let's go. So I'm so happy to hear that, and I will help.
You're surprised too, right? You never heard me say.
I've never heard you say that. I've never heard you say that. So I don't want to get too excited, because that means that Alfred won't be there. So.
Yeah, well, obviously, it's not, but just statistically, I mean, facts are facts. And so,
yeah. And I know he has no interest in getting a dog at this point.
No.
Yeah. So but anyway, I think that is a brilliant plan. In fact, Mom is in the green room here and behind the scenes. So she's laughing because she had, had a dog and it passed, and she didn't have one for years and years and years. And then when my stepdad passed away, I was like, you need to get a new dog. No. And then when I was getting Charlie from Kuwait, I said, hey, Charlie has a friend there, and she can come and go to your house. And that, for the first time out of years of me badgering her to get a dog, she finally agreed. And so now she has Roxy, and I have Charlie, and Roxy makes her go take her outside and walk. And Mom is 82 years young, and she goes outside and walks her dog. So, and sometimes Roxy pulls her down. So we're working on that. But anyway, that was early on. That hasn't happened lately. But anyway, I'm happy to hear that. But I also want to say this, and we'll wrap up with this. But the other really neat thing that I think might happen at this event, you haven't said this, but I can imagine that you might sit down at your gorgeous piano and play, because you're such an accomplished pianist. And
I hadn't even thought of that. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, when I've been there and you've had brunches and events and Christmas and things like that, that's like one of the highlights of everybody kind of gathers around and you play. So I'm not committing you to that, because that's your thing, but that's just one of the, if you guys like music, that's one of the neat things to do. So let me check these. Ed said, woohoo. So she heard you say that about the dog, I think. Let's see. I've got a comment here from Kathy. With a dog, Barbara, together you are better. That's right. Oh, Barbara, you have opened up a whole new world right now with that, saying that. So yeah, I just want to encourage you guys to go check out the website here, the barbarahemphill.com. You just get the link. It's /invitation-brunch-Barbara. And check out the details if you think you can make it. I mean, depending on when you're watching this, if you can make it to the October 10th, you go ahead and enroll or register on that page. And if you have questions about it, the simplest thing to do is go to our website, or actually even on your site, you've got a contact us
Yep,
page.
I've got to contact us on the website. So just go to barbarahemphill.com and you can connect and see other things that are going on as well.
Perfect. So thank you guys for joining us. I'm going to put up our webinar link one more time because we do have a webinar coming up this Thursday. So again, depending on when you're watching this, but productiveenvironment.com/webinar. And this one is going to be about digital clutter. So we're super excited about that. And yeah, thank you for joining us. And that is it for today's Pep Talk.
Have a great rest of your week.
Bye, everybody.